Messianic 7 News Presentation. Presenting to you Messianic news based on Christians and Jews' worldview in Yeshua our true Messiah.
Time to build third temple, says Israeli lawmaker Israel Today. The rebellion against Rome that began in 66 CE soon focused on the temple and effectively ended with the temple's destruction on the 9th-10th of Av 70 CE. Today's Temple Mount, a walled compound within the old city of Jerusalem, is the site of two magnificent structures, the Dome of the Rock to the north and the Al-Aqsa Mosque to the south. In the southwest stands the Western Wall, a remnant of the Second Temple and the holiest site in Judaism. What is the significance of Ezekiel's temple? Ezekiel was born into the priestly line Ezekiel 1:3, but he served God as a prophet. In Ezekiel 40:48, Ezekiel sees a detailed vision of a grand and glorious temple. This lengthy vision has been the subject of much speculation and various interpretations through the years. Ezekiel began his prophetic ministry before Jerusalem and the temple were destroyed by Babylon in 586 BC. Prior to the destruction, many false prophets assured the people that God was with them and that nothing would happen to them. Ezekiel 13:8-16. True prophets like Jeremiah and Ezekiel warned the people that God's judgment was coming. Ezekiel 2:3-8. In Ezekiel 8:11, the prophet sees the glory of God leaving the temple.
Ezekiel 11:22-25. The cherubim lifted their wings, and the wheels were next to them, with the glory of the God of Israel over them, above. Next, the glory of Adonai rose from within the city and stood over the mountain which is on the east side of the city. Then a spirit lifted me up and brought me, in the vision, by the Spirit of God, to the exiles in the land of the Casdim, after which the vision I had seen left me. So I told the exiles everything Adonai had shown me. Ezekiel 43:1-5. After this, he brought me to the gate facing east. There I saw the glory of the God of Israel approaching from the east. His voice was like the sound of rushing water, and the earth shone with his glory. The vision seemed like the vision I had seen when I came to destroy the city. Also the visions were like the vision I had seen by the Kavar River, and I fell on my face. Adonai's glory entered the house through the gate facing east. Next, a spirit took me up and brought me into the inner courtyard, and I saw Adonai's glory fill the house. Ezekiel 43:6-7. I heard someone speaking to me from the house, and a man was standing by me. He said, "Human being, this is the place for my throne, the place for the soles of my feet, where I will live among the people of Israel forever. The house of Israel, both they and their kings, will never again defile my holy name by their prostitution, by burying the corpses of their kings on their high places." Isaiah 60:1. Arise, shine Yerushalayim, for your light has come, the glory of Adonai has risen over you.
Ezekiel was taken into exile to Babylon, probably in the second deportation of Jews, in 597 BC. In exile, he encouraged Israel that judgment would not last forever, but that God would restore Israel and once again live among them. In Ezekiel 37, he relates the vision of the Valley of Dry Bones, in which he describes the reunification and reanimation of a dead Israel. In chapters 38-39, Ezekiel predicts a battle with Gog and Magog, in which Israel's enemies are defeated. Then, in chapters 40-48, in the 25th year of Israel's captivity, Ezekiel describes an enormous new temple. Chapters 40-42. The glory of God returns. Chapter 43. Sacrifices are resumed. Chapters 44-46. And the land is restored to the people of Israel. 47-48. The hearts of the people will have been changed. Ezekiel 36-26-27. And even Gentiles have a place in the restored kingdom. Ezekiel 47-22. The land will be ruled by a Davidic Prince. Ezekiel 44-3. See also 37-24-25, 34-23-24. In his vision of the temple, Ezekiel is taken to Israel where he sees a mountain and a city. He is met by a man whose appearance was like bronze. He was standing in the gateway with a linen cord and a measuring rod in his hand. Ezekiel 40:3. The man tells Ezekiel to pay careful attention to everything he sees and hears and to relate all the details to God's people. Verse 4. The measuring of the layout of the temple complex fills the next 3 chapters of Ezekiel. The question is when and how will the vision of Ezekiel's temple be fulfilled? Should we look for a literal fulfillment? Or is this vision symbolic of the future perfection of God's presence among his people? Has it already been fulfilled? Or is the fulfillment still future? If Ezekiel's temple is future, will it be fulfilled in the church age, the millennium, or in the eternal state? The answers to these questions will be determined, most likely, by the interpreter's presuppositions regarding the literal or symbolic nature of prophecy and fulfillment, arguing for a literal fulfillment of the prophecy of Ezekiel's temple are the numerous details of Ezekiel's vision and the specific dimensions of the temple. If the vision is to be literally fulfilled, then the fulfillment must be future, for nothing like what is described in Ezekiel 40-48 has taken place up to this point. The dimensions of Ezekiel's temple are far larger than the temple in Jesus' day, and that temple was a grand structure. Most who expect a literal fulfillment of Ezekiel's temple expect it to be erected in the millennial kingdom, a 100-year reign of Yeshua upon the earth. During the millennium, glorified saints from the present age will live in contact with natural human beings who will still need to make a decision for Christ in order to be saved, and many will choose not to trust him. The sacrificial system described in Ezekiel cannot be for the forgiveness of sins, for Christ has accomplished that once and for all. Hebrews 10:1-411-14. In this interpretive approach, the sacrifices are seen as memorials of Christ's death, or as rites for the ceremonial cleansing of the temple, but not as a means to forgive sins. In the figurative view of Ezekiel's temple, the prophet's vision simply reiterates that God will once again dwell with his people in a perfect relationship. This relationship is described in the language that the people of the day, and especially for Ezekiel as a priest, would have understood a Jewish temple of magnificent proportions, with regular, perfect sacrifices, with the Messiah presiding, and with the glory of God visibly evident. In later visions to other prophets, God revealed more about how he would accomplish this with the Messiah himself replacing the temple, the sacrifices, and the land. The presence of God through the indwelling of the Holy Spirit would be more immediately evident than ever before. The fulfillment of Ezekiel's temple could thus be realized in the church age to some degree and in the age to come, to perfection, regardless of which approach is taken. The vision of Ezekiel's temple, realized in the church age to some degree and in the age to come, to perfection, regardless of which approach is taken. The vision of Ezekiel's temple could thus be realized in the church age to some degree and in the age to come, to perfection, regardless of which approach is taken. The vision of Ezekiel's temple says that God has not forsaken his people and that his relationship with them will be restored and elevated to a new, never before conceived glory and intimacy. Present circumstances should never cause one to doubt the promises of God. The third temple, Beit Hamikdash HaShlishi, is used in reference to a hypothetical rebuilt third temple in Jerusalem, which would succeed both the original Solomon's temple built under Solomon of the United Kingdom of Israel and destroyed in 587 BCE the Neo-Babylonian Empire, as well as the Iskon temple built under the Achaemenid Persian Empire and destroyed in 70 CB the Ottoman Empire. Although it remains unbuilt, the notion of and desire for a third temple in Jerusalem is sacred in Judaism, particularly Orthodox Judaism, and is anticipated as the most sacred place of worship for Jews. The prophets in the Hebrew Bible called for its construction to be fulfilled prior to or in tandem with the Messianic age. The rebuilding of a third temple also plays a major role in some interpretations of Christian eschatology. The notion of rebuilding a third temple at the Temple Mountain, the Old City, has been espoused by many Israeli Jews and remains a key subject of tension between Muslims and Jews due to the existence of the Dome of the Rock an Islamic sanctuary that was built on top of the site of the first and second Jewish temples during Umayyad rule in the late 7th century CE. The issue at the Temple Mount has been a major flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and its peace process. While Jerusalem in its entirety has been controlled by Israel since the Six-Day War of 1967, it is to a large extent internationally recognized as disputed territory between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, to both entities proclaiming the city as their capital. Help us support Davidic organization to fight for the rights of Jewish inheritance. Any Gentile who wants to support Temple Heritage Foundation, Davidic organization, see the link below. Shalom!
This is Messianic 7 News Presentation, presenting to you Messianic news based on Christians and Jews' worldview in Yeshua our true Messiah.